Today, Monday's daf is daf mem aleph. So it says he has to say, I don't care. I don't care to get killed. No, how do you know that? You must hames. That this person, you must hames. The person who already a dead person. What do you mean? He has to say, I know what my misa is, but I don't care. I don't care. He has to say, I know, I don't care. Rav Chana says, very interesting. It says here that the Adim come along and say that this girl was engaged and she was committing and having an affair. Shahuzma, they were found liars, ain't herogim. They don't get killed. You know why they don't get killed? Because you know what the Adim can say? We never intended to kill her. The reason why we came here is to make sure she doesn't marry her husband because she committed shnus while she was engaged to him. Says the Gemara, if you don't give Hasra, they can come with that argument to Bezin, so therefore we cannot kill them because they never intended to kill. But they had to, the only way they can kill Nayavadas is they had to warn her. No, if they warned her, then obviously they came in to come and kill her. Because they're telling her, this is the Misa. Well, Asraba. So when I said the law Asraba, in case where they didn't warn her. But if they didn't warn her, then the Takana didn't try to kill her. Then hey, how can even forget about the Rav Chana's din? So I would say you can't kill her because you didn't warn her. Says the Isha Chaveda. Oh, the wife of a Chaveda, she herself is a Chaveda. Says the Yanta says the idea of a Chaved generally is a Talmud Chacham, and interesting what he says it. He says not here. Says the Yanta was why a Talmud Chacham? Because they know how to be friends. So Chaveda from a group, Chabura group. Tamil Chamim have a bond with their friends when they learn the mamash a bond. If they're not Tamil Chamim, he says what's the lashon there? Sheker ein lakesh. I forgot the lashon exactly. There's no bond by if you don't learn. So that's what chaver is. And the Asia's chaver does it mean the wife of a chaver or she herself is considered a chaver in her own right? And yeah, be'isha chavera. Isha chavera. Believe Yehuda. Yehuda says that a chaver ain't tzarich hasra. So here there was no hasra. So we don't know what the age of intention is. She will still get killed because she's an Asia's chaver, and therefore Isha chavera. So therefore she will still get killed. And they didn't get time that we had no intention of killing her. We just wanted not to marry the husband. The only reason to give hasra is to determine whether they knew it's an aveda or not. Asia's chaver knows exactly whether it's an aveda or it's not an aveda. They keep it. So I'm asking a new question now. Lepayil, she doesn't get killed. Yeah. Sorry. Since we're not going to kill them, then there are Edis Shiyata Yochel Hazima. And then we either, for the cause of the Kosev, or because of the logic, we no longer know if they have credibility or not. How can you kill her? English is not called Edis at all. I said, Hachinami. That's exactly right. The Turksha ain't a rugging. You're right. She won't killed. Every night of us will get killed because the Adam always have a ability to time that we never intended to kill her. We just want to ask her husband. Therefore, this Adam is that you can never be mazin if she's an Ashes chaver, and an Ashes chaver why no mazin no hasra. So therefore, an Ashes chaver can get away with it and not get killed. Like a Bible bono, afi and they're going to get killed. You're not zimmer. So the Gemara says, "Hey, if you're Talmud Chacham, she can have an affair and not get killed." So yet the din is, Rav Yossi says that a chaver doesn't need asra, and what? And they'll get the full punishment. But the you won't get punished. How can never be? Asking, well, you're right. The only time that she can get punished is because she's insa because of his insa. The first time, okay, they tried to ask her and the husband. What do you come to Bezin telling us about a second activity she did with the same guy? Obviously, trying to kill her. They can say it's a second person because what happens is that not only she can learn with her original husband, she's also a labal with a boil. So that's what we're here for, to ask her on the new husband. The only time is she's instant baladisha, the same guy twice. Or Inami, she's instant her. It was usher anyway. They can't say we're coming here to ask her the second time. To ask her to this man, it's her brother. Or whatever it is. It's her uncle, it's usher. So it's not a problem. So your mother says, so let me ask you a question. So why did you say Dafka Nair Marosa? Any married woman, the same thing. If she's an Asian chaver, they can always say, we just came to ask her on her husband. Whether she's engaged or whether she's married, it's the same thing. Why did you Dafka choose to talk about Nair Marosa, the Nukut? I feel it's Ami. And you're right. The Chiddishes are feel high the Loyosa to say they're not living together yet. So to say by a married woman, you can say honestly, I can't see her living with a man. It's a good friend of mine. I have to tell him what happened. But when it comes to a woman who's engaged in those days, 12 months, and they hardly knew each other, and they weren't together, you can't say that's the first thing in your mind. I want to make sure that he doesn't marry her. Pashas, you're here to tell us that she committed a sin and she has to be killed for it. The chiddush is that nevertheless they can they can argue, and we can't prove otherwise. That we're only here to ask on a husband, and therefore on a future husband, and therefore she won't get killed. Amar Chizah. One guy says he was killed with a knife, and one guy says either an axe or is a dagger. It's not good edus. Because this is essential edus, according to the Rambam, is called delicious. Not good edus. One guy says black, one guy says white. It doesn't matter. It's peripheral. People aren't that observant. Makes as a question. It says it says in the Braisa, in order to be synonymous, it's a problem. One guy says a knife, and one guy says it was a dagger. So clearly, even the peripheral stuff ain't enough. Tagmar Rav Chizah says nope. That if you contradict each other in the peripheral stuff, it doesn't matter. What says right here, when it talks about black and white, we're not talking about peripheral, what color clothes is wearing. We're talking about strangulation. What color was the handkerchief? So this is not a zaytik azach. This is not a side issue. This is essential to what occurred. The handkerchief used to strangle. The same thing as a knife and a dagger. One guy says the shoes. We're talking about the perpetrator, black or white. Ain't enough. It's a contradiction. Throw it out the window. So again, Rav Chizah says, this was the tool, this was the instrument you used to kill the guy. So it's essential. In other words, according to Rav Chizah, only essential, which the Rambam calls drishis, if there's a conflict, a contradiction, it's a problem. But peripheral stuff, like what color suit he was wearing, that doesn't really matter. What about Mishnah Toshma Maisel Bode Bezaka Buksitainim? Bezaka asked about the Uksitainim, the stem. Thick, thin. That's mamish peripheral stuff. And the murder happened under the tree. And yet Bazaka used to ask questions because they contradicted each other out the window. We're talking about here. That it was Mechal Shabbos here. And that was the sin. So you have to know. And that's why he's going to get killed. It was under a fig tree with the story of Ben Zakkai. You took the branch of this figs and you sharpen it and use it as a dagger. So we want to know how long was this branch and how short was the branch. This is essential. I'm still not happy. It says the word of the Chizah is that when they contradict each other in the essential questions, it throws out the edus, but when it's a side issue, it doesn't throw out the edus. That's a Chizah. But the Gemara's Machshin the whole time doesn't agree. That he says no, even all the even peripheral. It's one thing is any day. I don't know. That doesn't matter. But if they know and each one says something else, okay. It says clearly we're talking about the uksa, we're talking about the stem. Nothing is no spear there. You can't kill somebody with a fig. So Ben Zakkai loisiv inish. You want to ask a question from Ben Zakkai? Shaine Ben Zakkai argues with the Mishnah. He holds that bedikas kechakidus mashalon. That's Ben Zakkai's opinion. So Rabbi Yosef defended. He said that's Ben Zakkai's opinion, but he defended Rav Chizah. But stam bedikas, they contradict each other. We don't care. Man says, so it's a machlekes shayim in the halacha what it is, whether all bedikas contradict each other or there's essential ones versus unessential ones, and then you have a machlekes shayim. What happens even the peripheral ones? Instead, he said black and white. The guy starts off loy. No, it wasn't black. Remember, each was separate. The other said, was it black? He said, no, it was white. By adding the word loy, maybe even peripheral stuff, it's contradicting each other. Who is this Ben Zakkai? Me having first Rabbi Zakkai was never part of the Sanhedrin. How do we know that? Interesting. The same thing we say about Rabbi Akiva, we say about Rabbi Zakkai. Rabbi Akiva, the first 40 years he didn't learn, the next 40 years he learned, and the next 40 years he learned. It's exactly the same as Rabbi Zakkai. Rabbi Akiva's Rebbe. So what was he doing the first 40 years of his life? It doesn't say. But Tanya, Kol Shenois of Rabbi Zakkai was made as a shon, 120 years. Aboy Shana Akar Pragmatya. Till he's 40 years old, he did business. That sounds like he wasn't learning. Mem Shana Lama, then the next 40 years he decided, 40 years old, it's time to sit down and learn. And Aboy Shalim, the next 40 years he became a limud. Amazing. We know nothing about his early life, Rabbi Zakkai. He was the Nasi, and he had the 5 great Talmidim, and who eventually taught Rabbi Akiva. Each one of them. Lesman Hurkins also didn't learn when he was young. Rabbi Akiva didn't learn when he was young. What does it say about Borchim Yeshiva? You should start learning when you're 40 years old. Or It's 3 generations in a row. The time you learn, and what's the problem? I stopped doing din in the fascist, as we'll see in a minute, 40 years before. And the reason is because there was so many interesting reasons, because it's very hard to understand. There were so many murders, they decided, no, what, we give up. Because we were having more makas, I was saying, that a besom that kills even once in 70 years. But so the Taylor said the murder. So they said, you know what? Too many murders. We're going to walk away. Let them keep on killing each other. I mean, the whole approach is a bit hard to understand. But anyway, the Yashil Chanus. It's at the place called Chanus. Some say Chanus was in the base of Midrash. Rashi says some city. The last 40 years, they didn't do dini crosses. For the more dini crosses, they did. They did in a bubble. Done it in the fascists. Sorry, what a big deal. They didn't do the crosses. Why not? They didn't do it in the fascists. So what's the problem? Rabbi Yechim Zakai lived after Chodesh Hamikdash. In fact, the whole story was Rabbi Yechim Zakai went out. The Gemara doesn't use that as a raya, but the whole story. And he made all these takanas after the Chodesh Bayis to do, lulav and all these other things so that we should continue. And Yom Hanaf, all of these things. So obviously, the limit was, if you go back, even if that was the last year of his life, the Lomad, he wouldn't have been part of the Sanhedrin, only the limit part. So he could never have been a member of Sanhedrin during the Tzitcha. Now, it's a bit difficult because Taisus a few days ago said that when he was talking about Din Dal Mrs. Butler, he says that the last 40 years, when they needed to, they did get together and they made it. It wasn't open all the time, but Seydach Shah, they would get together and paskin. So you can always answer, Rabbi Yechim Zakai wasn't that whenever they had a Seydach Shah, he was there. Or maybe it sounds like he did this all the time, as if this was an everyday event in the Sanhedrin. And I'll prove it to you. So Ella Ben Zakai Dalma. Sorry, it was another person. Somebody's name was Ben Zakai. It even makes sense. But these are Ben Zakai. Ben Zakai. Would they call Abyecha Ben Zakai, who's the top leader? They call Ben Zakai by his first name. On the other hand, Rashi says that he used to call Rabbi Kiva Korcha the Baldy. So if they call Rabbi Kiva Baldy, why can't they call him Ben Zakai? There's a machlek is whether Ben Zakai means the son of Zakai or Ben Zakai was actually like a last name. This was his name, Ben Zakai. But time we learned Ma'isa Bod Rabbi Yechim Zakai book to tell him there's another bride says Rabbi Yechim Zakai. So it must be it is him. That's not a raya. It must be Rabbi Yechim Zakai. So what's going on here? How can it come Ben Zakai? El Talmud Yeshem Rabbi when he was learning by his Rebbe, even though he was 50, 60, 70 years old. How it happened. Remember, he's learning for Talmud says something makes sense. The Kabua Bishmei. So they established it in his name. So that's why he called Ben Zakai. He was still a student. Ben Zakai, Kiabilamed. Zakai have a curl like it always right up, but have a limit, have a curl like Ben Zakai. So when he was learning as a student, they called him Ben Zakai. Like a Talmud Yishnei Rabbi. When he was limit, when he's teaching others, have a curl like Ben Zakai. So therefore, you look at the Mishnayos. Kikari le Ben Zakai Hashem de Mikara. V'chikari le Ben Zakai Hashem de Hashtav. Which sounds like, so Rebbe is writing the Mishnayos, in his time definitely is Rabbi Yechim Ben Zakai, and yet he called him Ben Zakai. Unless he wanted to point out that this was the case we said before. If a Talmud says something, they bring him up to the things. He uses like this. That's why he puts in that very same Mishnah, Ben Zakai, to tell you this idea of a Talmud could come like the Rebbe. Anyone who continues. Maisu Bodak, then the Mishnah, Ma ben Chakidis or Bedikas, what's the difference? And we said that by Chakidis, if you say any idea, or even one guy, and by Bedikas, if you say any idea, even if both say any idea, it doesn't matter, we move on. Because it doesn't question their credibility. Once you tell me it doesn't matter, what's the if one guy says I don't know, two guys say I don't know. What do we have to but why should be a difference? Now, we're going to have more makas. Why does the trade have to say shloisha? Surely shloisha. So we have machlekes in the Mishnah. What it comes to teach you. One Tana there says that just like if two people, they don't get punished unless both of them are Muslim. So if there are three people, you might think, well, if two of them are Muslim out of the three, they should be punished. No, all three have to be Muslim. That's one opinion. But Kiva says no. Because what you're saying is Rimekel. Rimekel is what? That you're saying that even though two were found liars, they're not going to get punished. And Rabbi Kiva goes on. Big machlek is Rashi and showing him whether Rabbi Kiva argues what we just said, or he's saying, I agree with you, but that's not really what the pasuk is coming to. You come to some more. Now what? That if three people were found Muslim, they're all going to get that either Nimtze Echem and Karav Apostle, and the whole Edus falls apart, and because they're all one bunch, and so on. And or if you have three agents, they'll all get punished, even though you don't need a third age. Still, if he's lying, he'll get punished for it as well. Why am I telling you this? Because my gosh, I'm shouting more right now. Says the Gemara. You're right. We're gonna have to amend the Mishnah. If the Mishnah says if afilu shnayim, we're gonna have to amend the Mishnah and learn as follows. Areishikai, to abdikas. Abdikas we said before, if they say any idea, we throw out the window. The chakidis afilu shnayim amru yadainu. There were three witnesses there, and two of them say we know. The echad amr any day. The third guy says I don't know what day it was. Edus and Betela. You don't even need the third Edus, and two of them told us exactly, so we can pinpoint. Edus, why? Keman kirabi akiva. About the makish leishlish nine. He says the hazama cannot take place unless all three. So therefore, every one of them is pivotal to the Edus. And if one of them says, I don't know, since he cannot be mazim now, these remaining two, because even if you find them those two liars, remember you need to find all three liars. So therefore, it's no that's the Mishnah thing. I feel nine. Even two say yes, even though the Mishnah talks about no. He says even two say we do know, and one guy says I don't know. So we're amending the Mishnah. Now why Rabbi Akiva? Because Rashi holds Rabbi Akiva, even though Rabbi Akiva is not the one who said this. He says Kol Apostle is the holding for the part. It's Shimon. Nevertheless, we're saying Rabbi Akiva, Rashi holds, is agreeing with the Tanakhama and goes a step further. Taisa finds it very difficult because then the Gemara should have said the opinion of the one who actually says it. Why say Rabbi Akiva's name? He's agreeing, but weiter. Talk about the name who it was. Therefore, Taisa learns differently than Rashi. Amar says, the Mishnah says Edusa Kayemes. And you're telling me, the Mishnah says if two people say, I don't know, the Edus Kayemis. And you're telling me that the Edus is bottled. Exactly the opposite. You're amending it, but there's a limit how much you can amend the Mishnah. Go back to Hakidist. So what's the shot? Two people say, I don't know. What's Afilu? Afilu, two of them say, I know. The Echad Amr any day. And the third guy says, I don't know. Edus and Kayemis. The Edus is Kayem. What do you mean the Edus is Kayem? Why? Command the Loikid Rabbi Akiva. This goes according to Rabbi Akiva, there's no Chiddush here at all. If this goes according to one, we're talking about it here. We're talking about Chakidis. And Chakidis, but Chakidis, you need all the Edom and they have to say I know. The Chiddush is if two guys say I know, and one guy says I don't know, it's still good Edus. The Edus is bottled. Why? Sorry. If two say we do know, and one of them says I don't know, the Edus and Kayemis, the Edus is Kaim. Why? Why is the Edus Kaim? Even though because we don't follow Rabbi Akiva says that Nimsa Echemen Karov Apostle. This person who says Ein Yedea by Chakidus is just no different than a Karov Apostle, like apostle. But the Rabbi Akiva holds disqualifies everybody else. Says the Mishnah we don't hold, and this is Rabbi Akiva's opinion that if one of them is apostle, disqualifies the rest. He says no, we don't hold like Rabbi Akiva that says that it disqualifies the rest. The other two are still good Eidim. Rav Kana Rav Safra taught him Sanhedrin, but Rav Kana Rav Safra learned Sanhedrin in Yeshiva Rabbah. I always find it difficult when you look at Baroyim. Who are they? This Rav Kana, who is he? Because Rav Kana Taisa tells us in Kedushin a few places the two Rav Kanas. Okay, the first Rav Kana we know was a Talmud of Rav. He ran Tejas Sol, then the Baba Kama of Kufidal over there, and he became a Talmud of Yechon. Impossible that he should be learning in Yeshiva of Rabbah. There's another Rav Kana that talks to Rav Ashi, so it must have been Rav Kana talking to Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi was born the day Rabbah passed away. Rabbah was Rabbah's teacher. And Rabbah passed away at the age of 40. So, look for your third of Kana. This is right in between. So, Kana of Safra was learning in the yeshiva of Rabbah, Gemara Sanhedrin. Pagabahu, Rami Bacham was very sharp, met them. We have all these boys in Bacham and Gemara. Amalu, Mayam Rita was Sanhedrin by Rabbah. He said to them, what did you learn in the yeshiva of Rabbah? He's such a smart man, must have learned some Chiddush, tell me. What did he say? Amrulay, he said, I said to him, my kashalach. And if we didn't learn by Rabbah, is something bothering you in Sanhedrin that you want us to answer you? He says now mission and Babi Chakir because what's the difference? Chakir is but you say I don't know it is Taylor. But Bedikas you ask these questions of Yishnaim, two ain't on the Edim, Edus Kayemis. I don't understand. Mechli, Idi, the Raisa, the trader says you should be the Rashi Shal hated. In Maishna Chakidis, you have to ask questions. What's the difference between Chakidis and Maishna Bedikas? Why should there be a difference between the two? And we said emes noch and hadover. So you have to ask not just the the 7 questions. You have to ask everything. So what's going on here? Amalei hachi hashta. So he said in the Rabbah we learned the following. How can you compare? The Chakidis Amar Echad Any Day do some tell you no I bottle. How are we ever going to discredit them if we don't know when they tiny it happened? How can you say you were Imano Yisig with us? Aber Dikis Amar Echad Any Day Edus Kiyam is still good Edus. Why? Because still Edus Ata Yochel Azima. We can still discredit them. If they're liars, we can still prove that they're lying. He said back to Rabbi Chama, said to them, if this is what Rabbi told you in Yeshiva, he told you an unbelievable chiddush because I didn't know the difference. So what do you tell? Why were you hiding it from me? So they said to him, they were scared of him. Rabbi Chama was very shocked. So they said to him, when you're good to us and you want to know, not you want to tease us or ask questions and find, and discredit us, we're very happy. We have a lot to say to you. But if you're going to be sharp at us and everything else, then let me we got nothing to say to you. You can't say just a sharp for Keppel, this guy is a sharp head, you don't want to have a conversation. We said, that if you say the wrong day of the month, people make a mistake. Until what day of the month? Till majority of the month. And from here we'll go into the Chodesh tomorrow, and not tomorrow, Tuesday. Work out, to when you can be Chodesh Levana, we'll learn from there. Till majority of the month. Machlekes Yisrael actually means till the end of the 15th day, or actually till the end of the 16th day. We learned third day of the month, 5th month bottle. But my name was maybe this guy. Why can't it be that a big even 3rd and 5th? He didn't realize 2 Rosh Chodeshim. He made a mistake. And the Lama should the Beruba Yada. Once the majority of the month goes by, the shluchim went out already. Everybody knows exactly what day of the month it is. I said, no, that's not Raya. Now, before we go back to I'll tell you a second. Maybe people don't even know after the rave of the month. But if she put a yod, it seems in those days, whenever the Chodesh was, they used to blow a shofar. Not that you had to, they did. So everyone should know. Is Bechat she put on the toy. One shofar he missed. But today she put it on the toy. We don't believe that you missed 2 shofars, that you don't believe. But it could be within the month. You had no idea until the next month. Rashi gives a thing, and everybody tries to wonder what Rashi is. Rashi says over here that Ruba Shel Chodesh. But after the Ruba Shel Chodesh, and Rashi gives, now what Rashi should have said is, for example, the 16th and the 7th day of the month, no mistake anymore. Rashi says, one guy says 20th, one guy says 21st. Why jump to 20 and 21st? Interesting, Rashi quoted by some Rishonim actually has a gift of 16 and 17. The Ran quotes Rashi says 16 and 17, but here he says 20 and 21. So they wanted Mechadish that Rashi holds Ruba Shel Chodesh. Remember, by benching is different than by a minyan. You need 6 people to be up to the Chazan, but by benching we need 7. You need a Roiv Haminka. So when it comes here, Ruba Shel Chodesh maybe means a Roiv Haminka. Rashi holds 20 and 21, which is 2/3 of the month. By then everybody knows. Remember, the Shulchan takes a few weeks, but you have Shabbos in between and other things. Okay. Here